Hey guys, welcome back. As I'm sure some, if not most, of you saw, today saw the reveal of some new Halo 5 Guardians content, the biggest info drop coming from ReadyUpLive's Greenskull. With his permission, I'll be sharing some of the images that went out today, while adding my own canonical perspective. To be clear, I won't be discussing everything that Greenskull talked about, just the images that caught my attention and contain new information. Check out his video and the article on ReadyUpLive for additional images and campaign details, and be sure to check out the AMA he did earlier today on Reddit. Links in the description below. But anyway, on to the show. To start, let's take a look at the scale of the Guardian. These suckers are huge, standing at 4,635 feet. Greenskull was given a scale, and as you can see, these monsters are massive. There are multiple Guardians, as confirmed by Game Informer, and according to Greenskull, these things are causing some serious havoc on a galactic scale. No word as to how, but I think it's safe to assume that these guys are the source of the anomalies that keep getting mentioned in Hunt the Truth. Now let's take a look at the rest of this scale image. We can see a number of familiar silhouettes, some with some changes, and one new one. Starting on the right, we have the Didact. However, he looks kind of different, doesn't he? Notice the gaps in the joints. It looks like the Didact might have a new artificial body. I personally hope he doesn't look too much like his former self, unless he'll be swapping this guy out for something else. A lot of people have been theorizing / hoping that the Didact might possess one of the Guardians at some point. I certainly wouldn't object, provided 343 can make an interesting encounter without making Mecha Didact seem too weak. By the way, I'm calling this guy Mecha Didact. You heard it here first. Moving to the left, we spot the silhouette of a Promethean Knight. Now I don't know about you, but something looks a little off. Many people, myself included, have been saying that this knight seems to stand out from the silhouettes of knights we currently know of. Could this be a new class, or is it simply a slight redesign? Time will tell. The remaining silhouettes are pretty much identical to their Halo 4 counterparts, but then we get this guy. This is the brand new Promethean class called the Promethean Soldier. I'll be honest, I'm not all that impressed. It's another bipedal enemy, but seeing them in action could always sway my opinion. It depends on what they can do. Speaking of new Prometheans, Greenskull did mention that after playing a bit of Halo 5's campaign, the same section that GI played, he got to see a mini trailer probably not unlike what we saw at E3 2012's Halo 4 demo. In it, he mentioned a brief glimpse of sky battles that featured a Promethean-looking ship. I would guess that that might be this guy. Next up is some awesome concept art. We start out with what looks like giant alien coral. The next pieces are a bit more interesting though. This piece may look familiar as it was featured in my recent GI video. Now we have a name, Kamchatka Skyfall. Presumably part of a cinematic with Fireteam Osiris dropping to the surface of a new colony called Kamchatka. Given the name, I have to wonder if it's human or perhaps alien. It sounds like something that could be a Sangheili colony. Of course, it could also just be the name of a region on a planet. Next up, also from the GI video, is one called Kamchatka Crossfire. We can clearly see some awesome looking sky battles taking place, and the Forerunner ships in the background strongly resemble the Megablocks model I showed just a moment ago. Gotta wonder what this giant Forerunner megalith is though. I can't help but wonder if this might contain a Guardian or be related to them somehow. Next up is one called Meridian Delve, obviously set on the colony Meridian, the planet Ghost Tanda told Johnny had 3 days to save. Not much to talk about except that we're underground in what looks like some kind of dig. Perhaps whatever the humans were digging up is what attracted the Covenant's attention. Next, we have a piece called Fathom Depths. Yep, the same Fathom as the multiplayer map. Seems we'll be going there in the campaign, which means a return to the Epsilon Eridani system. I really hope, if nothing else, 343 puts in some Easter eggs on this station that reference Reach's current status. Our last 3 pieces are set on Sanghelios. The first is called Sanghelios Core, clearly set in a modern area of Sanghelios. Of course, the word core begs the question, core of what? Could this be the core of a particular keep? How cool would it be if this were Vodum Keep? The next is called Sanghelios Sanctuary, and would seem to be the setting of the earlier piece of concept art we saw, and perhaps even the Spartan Lock trailer. It also seems to be set in a bit of an outskirt area, or perhaps an abandoned area, a nice contrast from the previous piece. The final one is called Sanghelios Stonebound, which I personally find to be the most interesting. On the left you have ruins that look distinctly Forerunner in design, not unlike what we saw in Halo 2 Anniversary. On the right we have what I presume to be a building of modern Sangheili build. Next up, we have a couple multiplayer armor sets. The first is called Noble, and as you can see, it's an homage to Noble Team. The helmet is basically the classic Commando helmet, the body a Gen 2 upgrade of Noble Team's Mark V, and the Mark V shoulders. The next set is called Breaker. Not much to say, I just thought I'd share. Now for one of my favorite images, none other than Dr. Catherine Halsey, and damn does her in-game model look great. Almost as great as the full CG version from Spartan Ops. I really can't wait to see her in-game, especially if she meets up with Blue Team. What would she say? What would they say? After that, we have a few images of weapons. Nothing new or special, but damn, that fat fuel rod, am I right? Finally, let's close with what I think is probably the coolest image shared today. An awesome Halo 5 concept image that's very reminiscent of classic Drew Struzan movie posters. Sorry if I butchered that name. We have the Chief and Locke as the centers of attention. Blue Team on the bottom left, opposite Fireteam Osiris on the top right. Some Warthog action in the bottom right. All of it under the menacing gaze of a Promethean soldier. As much as I love the current cover, I think this should have been the cover for Halo 5. This is beautiful. If nothing else, I have to get a poster of this. And so, that brings this video to a close. I want to again extend my sincerest thanks to Greenskull for sharing this earlier today and for allowing me to leech off it. Let's face it, that's what I'm doing. As I said before, check out his original videos, which have a lot more content than I've shared here today. There's stuff I chose not to discuss, including some multiplayer stuff and a campaign Easter egg. Links in the description box for all of that. Thanks for joining me as always, and until next time, this has been Halo Canon. Hey guys, thanks for watching my video. It means more than I can express in a few minutes of audio. If you did like it, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, share it around on whatever social media you see fit, and all that jazz. Thank you so much. Your support is everything. I would not be where I am without you. Thanks.